Okay, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to tkanddrinks. This is What's the Story, episode 3 or 4. I'm not quite sure yet, depending on which order I edit these interviews in. But we are going to be meeting up with my man, Mr. Dan Schreffler from Spacetime Mead and Cider Works in Dunmore, Pennsylvania, newest member of the tkanddrinks distribution family. Super excited to talk to him today. We are going to be discussing all sorts of just random stuff per tkanddrinks interview. Normal criteria, get some funky questions in there just to be unique and interesting. And looks like Dan's trying to get in right now, so let's go ahead and get him on in. Hello, brother Dan. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm awesome. How about yourself?
Doing very well today. Doing very well. Oh, what you drinking on there?
Andromeda.
Oh, an Andromeda. Nice. I'm finished up my last of my buckwheat bonsai from Ancient Fire Meadery there.
Oh, I had that one, but those guys are brilliant.
Yeah, I cracked this open last night. Just wanted to finish that off. But yes, they have some wonderful stuff. I had an interview with Jason yesterday. Was phenomenal. He's such an interesting, great character. He has such great stories. That man has a knack for storytelling.
Yeah, they're great mead pioneers, marketers, educators, and just good people. You can't have any, and plus they make fantastic mead. So it's a wonderful package.
Right, it's like very few times you find it all in where they have everything all in one, and they seem to definitely encompass all of that. So how are you doing today? We've been working, I'm assuming, there at the meadery.
Yeah, we were doing some bottle runs and dropping off to some of our retail outlets today. And so when you drop off at retail outlets, you have a chance to sit with the owners and have a drink or two. So it's a tough life. I get through it, but we manage.
Yes, this would be similar type of meeting, I guess we could say that as well. Business related.
Yeah, we could write this off, right?
Exactly. Hey, definitely. So we've never really sat down and talked before, but I'm a huge fan of your products. I tout them all the time whenever I can. Your Singularity is probably my favorite single variety traditional I've ever had. That complex smokiness from that tall palmetto honey. So kudos to you, and thank you so much for making that wonderful product.
Well, we're lucky that we have such good beekeepers in our area that are able to acquire that. We have a local beekeeper that takes their bees down to Florida to pollinate the citrus groves. And so they'll bring back orange blossom honey and saw palmetto honey with their bees. And so we're lucky to get our hands on that. So we're blessed by good ingredients in Northeast Pennsylvania, or ability to source outside locally, in a sense. It's kind of a paradox, but local sourced honey that comes from Florida.
I was going to say, you locally sourced, but now I'm not a hugely knowledgeable about bees. Is that a common thing for them beekeepers to truck their bees that far?
Yeah, and that one would argue that's one of the issues with colony collapse disorder right now, is how we industrialization of our beekeeping. I love our beekeepers. I know they have to make money, but part of the issue is besides neonics and pesticides and stuff along that line, but we take these to pretty much a monoculture kind of environment. And so the bees are eating only one sort of nutrients, and then we truck them somewhere else, and then next month they eat something else. So it's like you and I saying, this month we're eating nothing but French fries, and then next month we're eating nothing but carrots. So we're not going to work that well. We're going to be a little weakened. We might get a flu bug, and then that might knock us out. So that's the issue, and that's why we actually try to use more. Probably about 95% of our honey is wildflower. So it's a good balanced diet for the bee. They go out and do what they want. We're not essentially making them indentured servants to one field.
Absolutely. I love that thought. And supporting local and supporting all your farmers markets and your local apiaries and all that stuff, it only helps ingrain you into the community further and helps bolster the community as a whole. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is a high tide rises all ships. If you can help bring everybody up and everybody can help bring each other up, it just makes it that much greater of a place to live at.
Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game. One person rise and we all come up together. So awesome, yep.
Exactly. So what you got, any special flavors you got coming up, or any special projects you're working on?
Yeah, we're working on a couple right now. We're actually working on one of our first sour meads. We haven't done with that. It's always dangerous to consider, wild bugs in a sense of being in a winery, because the danger is a product becomes vinegar. So we don't want that. But we had one that decided to, actually this was pure stupidity on my part. Rule, if you're running a winery and a tasting room, don't try to be the one guy in the place at the same time, because you'll make a mead, service your customers for about 4 hours, and realize you never pitched yeast that day. Came out brilliant. So,
wow, hey, happy accident. Yes, very cool, man.
Yeah.
So what kind of yeast are you using? Is that a Brett yeast then or something?
No, it was all whatever was on the honey. I literally forgot to pitch yeast, and it was spontaneous.
I got you. Man,
so awesome. It was stuff growing on the top of it that looked like, I don't know. And the taste was brilliant. So we added SO5 just to finish it off. Sure. And it turned really nice. So we'll get that out soon.
Very cool. Is that a traditional then?
Yeah, it's a wildflower. Yeah, we're not blending it. Actually, it might be good enough to blend with like fruit or something too. It has that nice sour puckering, like a Belgian beer that you would make a creek or a peach out of. So we might split some off and blend it with fruit. But right now, just by itself, it's pretty.
Right on. You haven't seen a lot of sours. I think I've seen one other commercial meadery that offers a couple different sours. But that's pretty cool, man. I like to see people doing unique and different things from what everybody else is doing. I like to see people exploring and broadening their horizon. I know it happens a lot in the homebrew community, and I like to see that transferring over to the commercial community. It's only going to help broaden and strengthen, the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, particularly when you take a look at how the craft brewing is going right now with these Northeast style IPAs, that milkshake IPAs, and all this craziness, and expecting to have not craziness, but they want something different on a regular basis, and so we got to play and keep them entertained, as well as ourselves. I mean, if I keep making the same meat over and over again, that becomes factory work. That's not fun anymore.
Right, and I've met or talked to some people in the industry, and that's all they want to do is that we want to do this and this and this, and I've got my whole industry, my business thing set, and I don't want to touch a thing and touch a dial or anything. I thought it was kind of a unique perspective, but hey, if it worked for him, can't bag on him for that.
Everyone's different, and everyone's life and values and what they need to do. So, for me, I'm not depending on feeding my children or my family on this place.
Right.
So I could take those risks, because the only person I'm hurting effectively is myself and my little business. So if we dump a batch and all right, I didn't make X dollars this week, it's not going to kill me. Now I might have a different perspective if I was trying to feed 4 kids and doing healthcare. So you just have to figure out where people are coming from, and not to say what they're doing is wrong or right. It's just for their circumstances, it's probably the right thing.
Yep.
For me, I get to play because I did corporate America for 20 some years. I paid my dues, and now this is playtime.
See, and that's what I love. I love hearing about people that are passionate about their work, because it comes through in the flavors of the mead, the whole profile, you can taste love and passion in the product. I don't care what anybody says. Run-of-the-mill stuff is, while the flavor may be good, it's always lacking that X factor, if you will, and it's definitely, in my opinion, it's the passion.
Yeah, it's funny. You can't say you could taste the love in a product, but you go to a place like Schramm's Meadery or Melavino or all those guys. You could tell that this is not a job for them. Their sweat and blood is in this thing, and however fashion it is, and that comes through in what they make, and so it makes a difference.
It's nice to see people be able to take it seriously and passionately at the same time, and not just get lost in the business aspect of it, or just lost in the passion aspect of it, and have the business flounder. To be able to be successful and passionate at the same time is a truly wonderful thing. It's inspiring to me. It makes me want to do better and produce a better product and make a better end result for everybody.
Yeah, because if you only have passion and not business acumen, you'll be good for a year, and you won't make any money, and you're going to hate it. And so that whole passion you had up front about this living the dream and stuff, well, living the dream without a good foundation for some business skills, or at least having someone come in and provide those, is a dream without a plan is just a dream.
It's a giant uphill battle is what it is, and you better be prepared to slog it out.
Yeah, just going to ruin a good hobby. You might as well just stayed and made small batches home and loved every second of it and go to work and make money in healthcare and 401k. Yeah. But if you do that without your eyes wide open, you're going to hate yourself. Your customers are going to feel it when you come into the tasting room. And we had a couple guys in the area that lasted only a short time period because they tried to do something like this as a part-time job and fit it in. And, it's tough.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. It's hard to make high-quality mead when you're only half passionate about it. You have $350,000 worth of bank loans hanging over your head.
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, like I said, I'm blessed, lucky, and all that other stuff where we worry about the bottom line, but we don't have a mortgage over our head. It's we rented a small space going in. We figured we'll grow as we can. We're not going to commit up front. Yeah. And it works. This was an empty storefront in urban Dunmore. And so it works for the community that we have, we're taking some space, creating some business to draw people down into Dunmore. And then we take advantage of the lower rent, and then together we grow. Again, rising tide floats all boats.
Yes, exactly. Do you guys get a lot of walk-in traffic?
Yeah, I was surprised how much we were getting. First of all, when we wanted to open a meadery in Dunmore, and I live 6 blocks away, so when I left, I said, I want to walk to work. That was my goal. So we had to find a property 6 blocks. And there's far more better traffic areas in Scranton, downtown and all this other stuff. So even in Dunmore, we're kind of not off the beaten track, but we're not in the main thoroughfare from the true downtown.
Okay.
We were expecting meat hunters to find us. People are going on. But when we opened up, we had a lot of folk just walking in the neighborhood, stopping in, checking us out. And in fact, we started. We sell some traditional grape wines too, and we carry some of them just for the neighborhood because this is an Italian community. Okay. They used to have their barrels in the back of the garage making their homemade wine for years. They remember their parents and grandparents doing it. So now we're saying, all right, well, what were those wine styles? And so we'll make those. And by the way, while you're here, have you ever had a honey wine? And now we have mead enthusiasts that would never have thought of ever having mead before.
See, and that's one thing I love about your that drew me to Space Time was that you have such a variety. I can almost guarantee, I would put my word against it, that you do more Pymonts and grape-based meads than almost any commercial meadery out there. It's so cool that because it seems to me like a very good bridging point between wine drinkers and mead drinkers, and there's not a lot. You don't hear about that a lot in the mead industry. I mean, there's some clamor about it, but most of the people are aiming towards beer drinkers to convert them to mead drinkers. So I think that's a fantastic service you're providing to the wine community and to the mead community together. So again, kudos to you, man. Awesome.
And that was part of our philosophy. At the end of the day, I've always been a wine drinker, but I started making beer early. I was at first a beer home brewer, but I was, at the end of the day, I was always a stem man, as my uncle used to call me. He'd go for beers, pizza and beer, and I'd get a red wine. He's like, the stem man getting this fancy wine. I love wine. And so then when I was making beer, I'm like, we're all geeks. My friends and I are geeks, Dungeons and Dragons and, Beowulf, Lord of the Rings. So I made mead. And so when we were opening this up, at the end of the day, I'm a winemaker. People say brewing mead. There's no brewing. If the commercial mead is good now, but it would be far more fantastic if the folk that came from the beer brewing community admitted that they're winemakers and took the techniques of winemaking, thousands of years of winemaking techniques, just apply that to mead making, and the product's fantastic. And so to use grapes in it, which was very traditional in the Mediterranean for that, is definitely a bridge between the winemaking community and the home beer, or actually the craft beer making community. We could all come together and explore all these wonderful flavors without the walls of the hoity-toity wine guy and the bearded, vested, craft beer dude. So if we could get past all that tribalism and just have a good drink together, and that's one of the reasons for Space Time Mead, the name. It's like, we want to have a drink for anyone, for any occasion. I don't care what you're backing. If you're a whiskey guy, we have barrel-aged stuff. If you're a wine guy, we have that. If you're a beer guy, name it, and we will. If you're an alcohol, if you're not an alcohol, you're out of luck here. But,
right.
But we're going to find something for you.
And again, that's awesome, and fallen in love with that that whole concept and notion. One of the other things that drew me there is you guys have a unique opportunity in your area to be able to select how you acquire your electricity for your meadery, and you guys are basically operated on renewable energy only, correct?
100% for our electricity. We have electricity, and then we heat with gas. So our gas, we don't have gas is coming from our
sure.
drilling that's going on in Pennsylvania. But for electricity, we have the opportunity, and this is available in other states too. But we could choose who is supplying our electricity, and we chose, and we're paying a little bit more for it, but we're choosing 100% Pennsylvania wind energy to provide the lights that are on and the power for this iPad doing the zoomy thing, and all our pumps and all our other temperature stuff is all PA wind. Yeah.
Man, that's freaking awesome. Can I get you to move a little bit over? You got the sun just cutting you out of my... Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting into a... There you go.
Perfect. Excellent, man.
I'm looking like I'm starting to get washed.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool that you guys are willing to commit that extra little bit of money from the business to be able to help sustain the earth and sustain the community again. You're doing something positive to help make sure that the community is there for future generations.
Yeah, and part of it is that it's altruism, the community. But the other part is if we kill the bees and we kill our, if the bees die out, if we do stuff that harms the produce and the flowers and that, we're not making meat anymore. We're not getting grapes. We're not getting apples. We're not getting cherries. So some of it is very selfish on my part. Obviously, I'm all for, protecting the climate, and I have nieces. They're 4 years old. They're going to have to deal with whatever's going on in this. So I definitely am thinking about those. But just take that away and just, dismiss, try to dismiss me as a tree hugger. No, I'm a green capitalist. Oh. I want to make sure that my raw material, my natural resources are available and cheap, so I could make a profit on what I do. So we could play both sides of this. So people try to dismiss me as that wacko environmentalist. Yeah, I'm there, but also I'm about making money so I could have fun with my family and pay the bills too.
Sure, I always find that altruism typically has a benefit to the person being altruistic as well. Everybody's seeming to come up in those situations, which is cool, man. The whole community is benefiting from it, so what does it really matter? It's a win-win-win for everybody.
It's a win-win-win, and if you look at it, I don't know, I'm not very religious, but the greatest commandment according to Christ was love thy neighbor as thyself. That implies you have to love yourself first. And if you don't love yourself first, how can you love your neighbor? So you got to take care and understand your values, take care of yourself, and then you're able to help the folk around you. And if it's the other way, then there's anger and hate and fear and all the Yoda stuff that tells you that leads to suffering. So
yeah, and that's where that animosity comes from, that tribalism you were talking about. Everybody just butting heads.
Unless we get talking about football, then it's a whole different story.
Hey, any chance? Oh, wait a second here. You're Steelers or Patriots?
Oh, no, Eagles, dude.
Philly. Oh, duh, you're so much closer to Philly. I should have called that. Okay, yeah, we can still be friends. I like Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're close. We have a lot of New York fans because we're only a couple hours from New York, as well as we're only a couple hours from Philly. So where we are, Northeast Pennsylvania, you have a good Giants contingency. We do have Patriots, and then we have Eagles and Steelers. So there's a lot of arguments and bars around here.
Yeah, in a good way. Probably even a few little fade-in Buffalo fans down there too.
Not too many, and a couple Jets fans show up, which is always funny.
Yeah. So you were talking earlier about liking to be able to experiment and do creative things with your meads and stuff. What's one of the favorite meads that you've ever made throughout the years, commercial or otherwise?
Yeah, my favorite, and it continues to be my favorite after a year, is the raspberry melomel.
Oh, yeah?
It's just, when I sit down at the end of the night, you work hard in all a good way, and you want to sit down and relax. I pour a glass of that, a little piece of dark chocolate, and life is good. And it's just the balance between that, that's dry, tart raspberry, and the sweet honey wine. It just perfectly balanced out. The real fruit comes in. that honey comes in, and it's just such a nice drink. That still is my favorite.
That's so awesome. I've already seen bottles moving on the shelves here in Arizona, so I'm super happy that we were able to pick that one up. Is that enough? That was you gonna be able to do more collaborations with the Honey Hole Winery there?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky. Before we opened, I did an apprenticeship effectively with him. Okay. I left my job the next week. I went and made a batch of mead for him on his, and he was just starting out. He was a year old at that point. He was making some really good traditional grape wines and some Northeast PA, and actually the East Coast is known for their sweet wine, the fruit flavored wines. So you have Concord, Niagara, but also you have basically red and whites that are then with fruit flavors added to it, and they're sweet, they're soda, they're nice, but it's not something that we wanted to do. But he wanted to make a mead, and I'm like, I'm more than happy to learn on your equipment on a commercial scale. Like instead of 5-gallon batch, and now we're going to do 150 or 200 gallons. That's a little bit different on how you handle that and how it will work and what works. So, yeah, we worked together. We made his this couple meads that he was selling direct. And then we said, all right, when I open up my place, we're going to continue to do collaborations. And the partnership, Pete Aiello is the owner, salt of the earth guy. Again, I'm blessed. I cannot say how lucky and happy I face all the directions and thank my stars for meeting people that are able to, effectively, put me under their wing and say, all right, Dan, you make good stuff. Let's make sure you understand what it is to run the business, how you do it commercially, what's involved, and we made some fantastic products together. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
That's awesome. Again, working together in collaborations is one of the things I love to see. You see it so often in the craft beer community. You don't see it a whole lot in the mead community. And I've asked some other mead makers about that, and they get these ho-hum answers about it. And I just don't understand why there's no, it hasn't been a whole lot, but I've definitely got some. Yeah, we're just kind of trying to do our own thing right now. We're not, or they do collaborations with people who aren't mead makers, with say like a bottle shop, or with a brewery or something. Not even to do a braggot or something like that. It was just some odd things, but I love the collaboration aspect, and I want to see it more in the mead industry.
Yeah, you're starting to see some of that. Well, we do something with Hopping Eagles, a brewery that opened up they're about 20 miles away from us. Startup brewery, really good folk. I know them for a while from our own homebrew club, and we did a braggot together. We can't do a braggot, but they can. But we collaborated on a porter style braggot that was just phenomenal. It was just beautiful, and we want to do more of that stuff.
That sounds delicious. A nice dark caramelized honey. Did you bochet the honey or anything, or?
No, we just did it straight because this was our first one, so we wanted to see how it would do together. And so what we did was we made their base porter recipe, which was really good, and then we did a third of the addition of honey in the primary, and then as it was fermented, we continued to add the honey to make sure that the honey character wasn't the first sugars that got consumed by the yeast and not be lost. So it really had the structure of a porter with the support of the mead. So it came out to be about 13%, dangerous 13%. It was smooth. It was fantastic. And so we're definitely going to do some more stuff with our local breweries. We work together with our local distiller too. We do barrel exchanges back and forth. We did a maple wine, 100% maple wine. So we provided them a barrel down so they could age their, I think they put a brandy in it, or they might have been a straight vodka just to pull out all those maple syrup and notes out of the barrel. And then we grab barrels back from them and reuse them. So we have a lot of fun. It's easy to do. It just depends. If you're tribal and thinking only from a homebrew beer perspective, you're never going to reach out to your wineries and the other guys for some reason. I don't know.
And the winery thing, I've started to hear about it more and more, but I just love when it's already existing. That's so cool. Have you had anything that's been not so great? Maybe had to dump a couple gallons down the old sink or anything like that?
Yeah, we've been lucky. We haven't had to dump anything. I do have 25 gallons of a sour mead. There's a fruit called a kiwi berry. It's not the kiwi, but it's a kiwi berry. It grows in Pennsylvania. There was an organic farmer that we were trying to source some of it to make a wine out of it. And there's reasons why people don't make a wine out of it. It's a messy fruit. It's this mush. So at the end of the season, he goes, come, I got 200, 300 pounds. You could have it for nothing. So I go there. Well, it's been sitting for a while. There's, you know, it's not grade A kind of stuff. But we were like, let's take it. Let's put it in the tank. We'll ferment it. We'll pitch a lot of yeast on top of it. Well, whatever was on the skin just dominated. And it's tart. It tastes like an American Wild, which means there's more vinegar notes than there is other notes to balance it. Okay. So we're seeing if it ages out. I hope it's not just vinegar. We added some more sugar and then added some different yeast to it to see if they would and see what happens. So that's the only mistake I have that's sitting and we may be dumping. But otherwise, I've been lucky. We learned from the American Mead Makers Association. We learned from the American Homebrewers Association. We learned from the internet. So there's so much information that when we were starting out, we had a good chance not to screw up.
Right. Yeah, because you hear horror stories from some of these guys that have been in the business for, you know, close to 20 more years, and you know, you hear stories about people having to dump 60, 70 gallons down the drain and stuff, and I was like, man, I couldn't imagine having to dump 75 gallons. That would hurt. Yeah,
when you take a look at, like, you know, pail of honey, you know, they're 50-gallon pails. You're paying anywhere from, you know, if we're lucky, we're paying $2, but more often than not, we're paying $4 to $6 a pound. Right. So there's $300 or $400, $500 just in the base ingredients. Right. And then time and yeast pitch and all that stuff. So yeah, so far we've been lucky. We've had stuff start to re-ferment in the bottle, but since we had small distribution, we were able to contain that, you know, pull the cork, relabel it appropriately to say, all right, sparkling, and it was fantastic. So we were good with it. But otherwise, yeah, we had, other than the spontaneous Mead sour that turned out, we've been lucky. Yeah, I'm just thinking, we've been really lucky.
So you're gonna, if you set it aside and it ends up being viable, you're gonna do something else with it, turn it into try to mix it in with something else, or kind of just let it go as it is?
Yeah, that's what. I mean, that's a possibility. I'm not where it is right now. I don't think we could blend it down to something usable at this point. So we have to leave it age and see what happens. If it turns out well, it might be something beautiful to blend with a raspberry cherry wine, and again, go with that sour creek or that, you know, that kind of aspect. So nice. There's a lot of opportunity, and we have space for it right now. So we're good.
So money, time, space, energy, all that stuff was not an issue. Is there one flavor profile that you've been dying to work with that you just haven't been able to?
Yeah, there's some flavors people have asked to do that I'm just lavender, hibiscus, ginger. Those aren't things I drink, and so I struggle in trying to create something when I'm not quite comfortable enough with the ingredient. Gotcha. I've had meads that are like perfume or potpourri, and I'm afraid of doing that. At the same time, Maine Mead Works makes a fantastic lavender mead. It's beautiful, and I want to do that, but I just haven't done it yet. I'm growing lavender in my backyard, so we'll probably harvest it this year and try a small batch and play with it. Those are the things I want to get more comfortable doing.
Yes, I love a good lavender mead myself as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I was totally surprised the first time I had one. I think I had it from a place in Kansas called Black Labs Meadery, and it's called Lavender Love, and it is just, I was expecting what you said, just perfume in a bottle, and it was not. It was just smooth and flowery and just everything you would want it to be. I was pleasantly surprised.
That's cool. And it's just fear on my part. It's fear of the unknown. I haven't done one. I never did one home brewing. And so I just got to do it. And it's just, you make a 5-gallon batch or 3-gallon. That's not a big deal. You don't start, 75 gallons right away.
How many carboys you got sitting around that place?
Carboys quite a bit. In fact, we're selling carboys because the local Italian guys in the neighborhood, they're getting older. They can't be picking up the carboys anymore. So they're like, would you buy it? I'm like, yeah, I'll buy whatever you got. We put them out in the window and we sell them for $25 to $30 a carboy. And then what's not used and I need them, I just pull them and put them in the back and make test batches.
Hey, I think that's a fair deal, man. That's a very cool service to provide. I like that. Yeah. Too many carboys.
And we get the stories from the guys come in and they're telling me how long they're making it. Their father did it, and the stories about what they stomp in the grave. I just love that stuff. It's just really cool.
I love hearing all the different parts of the cultures of the community. It truly is a wonderful thing. So is there any other meaderies that you're dying to travel to, or that you haven't been to, either here in the States or abroad?
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've hit a number, but I've been watching and I'm adding more to my list of what I have to go back out. I haven't hit meaderies in the California area. I haven't hit any in Arizona. I don't know who you have in Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado is another area I haven't hit the meadery realm. The big guys like Sap House Meadery and Moonlight. Well, actually, Moonlight's building out a new tasting room farm kind of aspect, so that's going to be fantastic in a couple of years. Yeah, we're in the gold age of alcohol, so yeah, I'm ready for another cross country tour and checking a whole bunch out.
Check out everybody.
Backyard here in New Jersey. Colony's right down the road, so I got some, and Haymaker, and they just rebranded. Forgive me, I can't remember what they just rebranded to, but those guys are all really good, solid mead makers. So I'm lucky to have access to those, but definitely ready for another West Coast Rocky Mountain area tour to pick out the meaderies out there.
Is that a Wildflyer, something like that they just changed to? Haymaker?
Yeah, I just can't think. And it was literally just down at the retail shop that sells our stuff and theirs, and it was on the shelf, and I still forget it was, and that was 3 hours ago.
They look really cool people there too. I want to try their stuff as well.
Yeah, and he's another guy he's a teacher. He wants to help you succeed, whether it be a homebrewer or professional. Again, mead makers they're just salt. Well, mead, cider, beer, the craft beer, it's all the same. We all want to help each other. Again,
yeah.
All boats.
Exactly. So if you're going out hiking for a day or the day, you only got room in your pack for one mead, where are you taking it? Go hiking out there up the AT somewhere.
Yeah, well, if I have access to one mead and money's no object, I have Schramm's Heart of Darkness in my backpack.
Oh, man. Yeah, money's no object for sure.
Yeah, that would be it. Close, Gary, I'm going to butcher their name in Florida, Garista. They have some decent meads, too, that are comparable. And actually, our trip to the moon, Voyage Dans the Loon that we came out with for Christmas is pretty darn close. So I'll tout our own being close because it was a fruit bomb. We had 400 pounds of fruit and 400 pounds of honey and just enough water to work it. And it was a 15% beautiful. So yeah, I would put that against those other guys that we just talked about, and that would be in my pack too. So homegrown stuff, that would be it. Heart of Darkness, and I can't think. There's a spider on the label for these guys down in Florida. If you haven't hit those guys up, talk to them. Garista, the Dodge Winery or something.
Yeah, I think Garaggeist, or I've heard it. I think it's French or something like that. Zargis, I've heard pronounced a couple different ways, but I know who you're talking about.
I'm sure I butchered it.
Yes, oh, absolutely. It's a theme on my show. I make it a point to absolutely butcher people's names, so you're in good company, brother. What else we got here? Oh, you making a lot of wine derivative types of flavor profiles and meads and stuff like that. What's your favorite food and mead pairing that you got?
I'm a cheese hound. I love cheeses, so and particularly blue cheese. And I think blue cheese pairs really well with our fruit mead. So the blueberry and the raspberry pair really well with blue cheese. And so that's where I go, and some sort of charcuterie with that. So whether it be some Spanish sausages or some Italian along that line, all those fall into line with. Those are the meals I think about when I think about wine. I want some fruit, so I want some grapes. I want actually some crusty bread with that. That's it. Now, we do make other meads that pair with an Italian dish and chicken and all that, and those are cool. They're utilitarian from my perspective. Special meal, though, is that finger food where you're sharing the plate with folk and that small portion. It's the meal, and it's the ability to do the sharing. You're not sharing a plate of spaghetti with someone. you're not sharing a steak and potatoes with someone, but you are sharing that plate of cheese and those bunch of grapes and that. Those are the meals that I like to pair with the raspberry mead or the blueberry or the peach or even a sweeter mead will go with those.
And it's cool because not only you like doing that as well, but you also, in turn, with like your Blue Planet, which is a dry blueberry, which I believe is kind of would be able to replace like a red table wine. And then you have your, is it the Gravity? That is the white table wine variant. In that aspect, now you're sharing the mead with all the people over a meal because that's a more type to be shared, and you're getting both aspects there. It's great.
Yeah, and that's, again, it comes back why we ended up calling it Space Time. When we suggested the name Space Time, besides the fact that we're opening a meadery in Dunmore, but the fact now we're going to call it Space Time Mead and Cider Works as opposed to Schreffler's Winery or Schreffler's Vineyard or whatever, the traditional winery kind of names.
Right.
And then it's like, well, here, the story is, besides mead being the oldest beverage on the planet, we're time travelers reintroducing it. We're talking about when someone goes to buy a bottle of wine, it's usually like, all right, I'm going to propose to the girl. A whole bunch of buddies are getting together. We're celebrating someone's reunion or whatever it is. People are buying a wine for a particular moment in time, and they're going to have it at a certain place. So we want to make sure we have a product to fit that in. So the dinner table, dry red, dry white substitute. Desserts, something you're going to celebrate with the girl, something called universal love, which is that's what inspires us. That when someone comes in the door, if someone comes in and I don't have something for them, I have failed in what our mission is of Space and Time.
One of the other things that I've talked to you in the past about, just briefly, and I wanted to touch on, you had done a unique thing in two different aspects. You've had a contest, label art contest for multiple bottles, and you've had a home brewer, homemaker competition to where you had people compete, and then there was a winner somehow, and you even got to guest brew at the meadery there. Man, that is so cool. I talked to other people about that, and they all think that's a really awesome thing. What gave you an idea to do that?
Breweries did it. When I was starting the home brewing, there was you had the Pro-Am competition at the Great American Beer Festival. You had other American Homebrew Association, BJCP competitions that would have a chance to brew your beer. A friend of mine, he won and actually brewed a beer at, it was Fegley's Brew Works, and he had like the time of his life. Pretty much, it's allowing me as a wine owner to have an indentured servant come in and do the labor for something that we know is going to be good because we judged it. It was good. So you want to come up and do work, and I'm going to watch you lift pails of honey and clean the tank and stuff? Oh my gosh, yes, you're welcome for having the opportunity.
Exactly. Hey, but that aside, man, it's an awesome thing because people eat it up, and it's an experience. The cleaning the tanks for you, it's again another win-win. High tide rises all ships. Everybody benefits from it, man. And that's, again, everything I see from Space Time is community driven and just inspiring to the whole meat industry. It's great.
I'm glad like the home brewer loved it. I mean, the cider maker and the mead maker, it was their day, and it's for something that was pretty easy for us to provide for. So it was fantastic all around.
Now, if memory serves, his flavor profile was an orange cinnamon, and it was made with Fleischmann's bread yeast.
Yes, it was. And I would have lost the bet how that was going to turn out. But at the end of the day, yeast is yeast. If you care for it, you put your nutrients, you give it love. It's going to ferment, and really there was nothing. There was a flavor profile to it, but nothing harsh or anything. It was, I
thought it was really good. It was orange. I thought the orange came through really well. Personally, I would have liked a little more cinnamon, but it wasn't bad at all. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and I was surprised because the Fleischmann's, I'm like, is this thing going to ferment out? So I was hoping it was going to stop because really his recipe that he made for the competition was a lot sweeter than what you were drinking. Oh. So the yeast just didn't want to stop it. So I guess I shouldn't have gave it as much love and nutrients, or else it might have passed out sooner. Because we did a batch, and this easily ate through like 16% worth of. So you just treat your workers well, and they'll do the job for you. Is what it comes down to.
Now, is it easy to upscale a home brew like that to a, from a 5 gallon to a 70 gallon or whatever?
Yeah, yeah, it's the ratios are the same. You have to understand how your system is. I mean, there's physics involved with, volumes and pressure and that, but it's minor tweaking, but they scale. To me, it was pretty linear.
Right.
Or we just supply the same recipe. Like he had his base recipe, and we know what works for our big batches in terms of grams of yeast per gallon and grams of nutrient per gallon. So we just applied that to his, and we just scaled the ingredients up. We held back on cinnamon and stuff because if you can't pull that out once it's in.
No.
You can always add to it. So, but otherwise, yeah, it's tough. We haven't had. There's nothing that came across to us that was, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. Other than bracket, you have to go to a brewery to make a bracket.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a national thing because of the TTB.
It's the law. Yeah, it's the law.
I'm having to deal with the TTB right now and getting cola authorization. I want to try to import some meads from other parts of the world, and hooray for thank you, sir. Dealing with the cola is definitely not fun.
Yeah, I've had. If you listen to what they want, they're good people trying to do their job.
Sure.
And regs are clear to them, so they're trying to do their best to interpret. So I can't say enough about the TTB in terms of our licensing to get the winery up was 45 days. I mean, oh my gosh, it was brilliant from the Fed, and the formulas they more than hand-holded me as I stumbled through. And now, formula approvals about a week, and label approval right now is they staffed up. It's only about a week, and that used to be like 90 days and something you'd wait for. So I can't say enough about those guys.
And I definitely have heard that positive things about the time frames and everything. I'm more just interested to see what they have to say about the label art and the names of the ones I'm going to be importing, because that's been my biggest thing, because I hear they have some very peculiar restrictions and for like naming rights. There was a meadery out here up in Flagstaff that wanted to name their they made a root beer mead and they wanted to name it root beer, but because the name beer is in it and the mead doesn't actually contain beer, so I don't know how much these meaderies in other countries are going to be interested in potentially rebranding bottles. And so nothing against them. Again, the people that are working, they're just doing their regulations. It's just the general bureaucracy of it all that I'm not dying to work with, but hey, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, they're looking to make sure that whatever's on the label doesn't mislead the consumer. So if there's beer on it, people could get confused. So yeah, okay, they're looking out for the end customer, and I'm like, I support that too. So, but yeah, other countries, you have no idea. So good luck. It'd be interesting what you pick out.
Exactly, it's definitely going to be interesting. So we've got about 15 more minutes left here. I got some kind of lighthearted questions. I'd like to mix some of those in there. Cat or dog person?
Cat.
Cat person, exclusively.
Love cats. They don't. I'm like, there's days where I could go without talking to a human if I could. So I mean, I'm just right in that mode with them. And yeah, I had cats and dogs, but it was the cats. Cats are lower maintenance.
Yeah, I'm very much with you. My wife and kids are dog people. I have a dog. He's cool enough, but I'm very much a cat person myself.
Dogs and cats I love as long as they're someone else's.
Exactly. Just like babies. They're cool and cute as soon as you can hand them back.
Yep. Drool or picking up their poo. Yep.
Hey, here you go, Mom. Take it. Exactly.
Love my nieces. Wouldn't want to have any.
Exactly. See here. Oh, fruit on your pizza.
No, what are you, sacrilege?
Oh.
I'm brown cheese sauce, nothing else guy.
Okay, there you go. Hey, if you're going to be a traditionalist, be a traditionalist all the way. Thin crust, thick crust, Brooklyn style.
I'm in New York, Brooklyn, the thin crust. You pick it up, it's flopping, so you have to bend it right so you can eat it. Yeah, that's my pizza.
And that style is really hard to find out here on the West Coast. I mean, they're definitely around, but I'm a huge fan of that kind as well. I love a nice, drippy, messy, giant pizza. Oh, it's wonderful there.
As I across the country, I found that if you put in New York and then you drew like a curve, there's like this radius. As soon as you get past Washington, D.C. and Ohio, it's pizza desert in terms of what I consider decent pizza. I'm sure, Chicago deep dish and all that. People love that stuff. Nope.
But yeah.
That's heresy.
Yeah, your Brooklyn styles are definitely very few and far between, and the major chain players totally just get it wrong every time.
And we have in Old Forge, which is a town just a little bit south of us, they have their own style of pizza. It's Old Forge style pizza. People that live in the area, like they'll move, they'll have it shipped to them. And to me, it's pretty much a grilled cheese open face. It's thick crust, American cheese, and maybe a little bit of mozzarella, some sauce on top of it, and maybe onions on it. People swear by it here. I think it's the Antichrist of pizzas. I'm probably going to get stormed now with pitchforks and torches now in this little place. But I just don't like it. But there's a cult following, and there's a battle between the pizzas in our area here.
Hey, to each their own, man. But yeah, that does not that wouldn't be the first choice. We'll go with that. And turn signal blinkers, yes, no?
Always, yes. Yeah, I over signal probably. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way there. Girl Scout cookies. If you only can get one box and flavor of Girl Scout cookies, what are you picking up?
Oh, what's the basic? I don't know the name. It's basically the basic butter plain cookie kind of one. What's
the trefoil?
It could be it. Yeah, probably why I don't know the name. It's just a basic sugar cookie or whatever. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, those ones are good ones too. I'm personally like the coconut Samoa ones, the caramel and the coconut. I like a nice fancy, doily looking cookie. But, yeah, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of them in my book. I enjoy a nice amount of Girl Scout cookies.
I'm a foundational guy with so pizza, pretty much foundational pizza. Cookies like chocolate chip or that butter kind of cookie. Yeah. I like all the baseline kind of stuff. I'm not big on piling of this stuff for some reason.
Hey, it is what it is, brother. You're a man of a creature of habit. You like your things to be how they are very much. I can be on board with that. Have you been to any meaderies abroad?
No, I haven't. And actually, I was in Ireland. I guess it was about 15 years ago, and it was before I was really drinking a lot. I had a lot of bad examples in my family from alcoholics and stuff, so I never drank in high school or college other than an occasional glass of wine. And then we went to Ireland for a wedding, and I discovered that Guinness is fantastic, particularly when you didn't eat anything else all day, and never had to explore the wineries or the meaderies. And I mean, Ireland, that's a mead place, and I have places to go back and visit to. So, yeah, that would be revisiting Ireland, and I don't think Germany's known much for their meads. They do have meads though too, but yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many out of there, but from what I understand, Ireland has more meaderies than Norway does.
Well, I'll have to return and find out. That'll be a tough tour to do, but I'll do it.
If it's for science, I'll have to give it a go. Darn.
Research.
Man, Dan Schreffler does Europe. It's like Rick Steves, except you're all drinking meads. I can be on board with watching. That'd be a cool show. Oh, man. So, do you have any more single variety traditionals coming up? I know that was probably like a unique one-time thing with the singularity that you had, but I don't see a whole lot of traditionals, and you're somebody who did one well, and in your Andromeda, again, well done. I like to see it in as I learn more, encourage more mead makers to do traditionals, because I'm finding that those are, while the berry bombs and the weird stuff and all those things are very cool, the traditionals I'm finding are turning out to be my favorites, the complexity.
I think we have 6 traditionals available right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have, we just bottled up an Orange Blossom, and Orange Blossom is just a beautiful honey. We have a Locust Blossom honey that we got locally. And it has this slight phenolic smoky taste, not overpowering, just a hint of it. That paired beautiful for Thanksgiving dinner. It's handled everything from the mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, and turkey. And then we have 2 other drier traditionals. One's wildflower honey, and one is blueberry blossom honey. Ooh. So we'll continue to offer those because they're white wine substitutes. So we'll continue to do those. We have meadow foam in the back aging, which is a beautiful honey from the Pacific Northwest. It has the marshmallow kind of notes to it. So it's a little hot right now in alcohol, so we're aging that out. But we will always have a couple single varietal or wildflower traditionals. We'll always have those.
That's so awesome. I haven't yet to have anything with I've yet to have anything with meadow foam honey in it, but it seems to be certainly the hot ticket right this moment. Everybody's messing with meadow foam, berries, and single varieties, everything. I need to get my hands on some of it. So I'll be on my eyes whenever you release one. I'm going to scoop that up for sure.
It's a beautiful, it's expensive. I mean, and the shipping for us, I mean, that's where we look at, we try to source local, and we're like, what's the carbon footprint of that coming from Oregon for us? But it's worth it. It's beautiful. And when before we opened commercial, I actually made a bochet out of it. So here we're already taking this flavorful honey, caramelizing it, and then we added a chocolate flavoring, and it tasted like Tootsie Roll. It's just fantastic. And so, yeah, it's a really nice honey, really nice.
Yeah, I'm dying to try some of that. I was talking to John Opegard of Opegard Meadery there up in Washington. He had 1,500 pounds of macadamia blossom honey brought in from Hawaii.
Oh,
I don't want to talk about how much that freaking cost him to have that shit. That was just ridiculous. But he's done some great things with it. So I can only assume that you guys are going to do some equally awesome things or better things with that meadow foam. So the shipping costs will definitely be worth it.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah. We definitely, single varietals, they're nice, and it's a chance to showcase different honeys as if they're different grapes, and that's a good thing for the wine community to get to have a discussion with them about Cabernet grapes definitely than a Pinot grape. This variety of honey is different than this one, and the sweetness level and the flavor, acidity, all that stuff. So we have to have them. We want, and I like them. So, and they're easy to make.
Yeah, do you guys have a lot of draft meads or sessions stuff that I don't see a lot of that on your website.
No, we didn't. We did a couple in the summer. We do some sparkling meads, but they're generally over, they're wine strength.
Right.
We did a couple of ones. We talked about canning, and then, again, so we're only 3 years old, so we don't have a pattern yet. So it's not like, well, for years we have this. No, we're still figuring stuff out. We were going to invest in a canner last year, and then with COVID and the pandemic, you couldn't get canned, so we just didn't do any of that stuff. We've had some draft meads that we just put into local restaurants to play with, but we haven't done too much of those. The issue for us is you're concerned about shelf life and turnover, and we're small right now, so we could either do a small batch just to make sure anything under 6 and 7%. In a can, the shelf life is probably about 6 months to a year, really, before I think it changes from something we didn't want. And so we're kind of reluctant to do that yet until we see a demand. Colony does a great job of doing that. Haymaker's doing a good job of doing that. So I don't know if I need to. They do it well enough. You want that kind of stuff? My local retailer will sell them those stuff all day. So.
Gotcha. Hey, you guys do what you do very well. Like I said, I don't see anybody out there who has a dozen different or more grape grape varietal traditionals and stuff like that, or piments. It's crazy out there with the amount of stuff you guys have. Did you actually do one for the do one of all the alignments for the alignment series?
Not quite. We still have Lawful Evil. And we have a couple. We did a couple of ciders that were in the neutral category, and just the name wasn't compelling people to buy Neutral Good. I mean, it was just it's great from a D&D perspective, terrible from a marketing perspective. What's the other one we had on there? Oh yeah, Neutral Good and Chaotic Neutral.
Yeah.
Unless you have the D20 in your hand, you're not into that one.
Right.
So we had it.
Okay.
We'll stay with. We have to come up with Lawful Evil though, and I think we want to be like we want the Carolina Reaper in that thing or something. That means truly evil.
I think I picked up some of the Chaotic Evils, which was the rye barrel aged Cider.
No. The chaotic. Oh yeah. No, the Chaotic Evil is Gravity with Chipotle in it.
That's what it was, Gravity. So yes. Yeah, I'm getting that one here for the fall time. Chipotle does fantastic here in the fall time. So anybody who's here in Phoenix watching, look out for some of that, because I don't think Mr. Schreffler has much of that left there in Pennsylvania either.
Yeah, we make, that's one batch we do. We make one batch of that every year. We get a fresh of cider, blend it with wildflower honey the same day we get the cider in, and then we split it into barrels, and then we'll split some at the Chaotic Evil. And that one is, we picked Chipotle because we wanted the flavor. We didn't want weaponized wine. I've had wine that you can use as a self-defense mechanism. It's just, yeah, your eyes are tearing. No, this has some heat, but it's the smoky character that Chipotle, and it pairs beautifully with Mediterranean or spicy foods. It's a really nice and approachable. It's not a scary pepper mead.
And that's why I'm looking to hold on to it here through the end of summer. You start getting into fall, people start to go back out on their patios because everybody's already starting to go inside here. We're staring down triple digits here pretty soon. So.
Oh gosh, we're on the opposite of that. It's finally like 70 degrees out today. It was nice.
Yeah, that's why I was talking to Jason up there at Ancient Fire. He said it was 64 degrees yesterday. I was like, man, my nighttime low was 68 degrees yesterday.
So you're in the air conditioner season already. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, those came on about a week and a half ago. They started kicking on, but yeah, we've been staring down triple digits for a while, but it hasn't been overwhelming. So knock on wood. But
it's probably been about 15 years since I've been in Phoenix out there. So I need another trip out that way.
Oh, definitely. It's grown a lot. I came out. That's about right when I moved out here, and it's grown significantly since then. But yeah, we have 5 meaderies here and several wineries that are just out of the park, awesome, all over the state. So there's definitely lots to do and visit here. So yeah, if you do come back out.
Awesome.
Yep. So looks like, yep, definitely getting ready to be cut off here by the old Zoom meeting. So wrap this up, my man. So thank you very much. I'd love to do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah, this was fun. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Schreffler's Mead, Spacetime Mead and Cider Works on shelves here in Phoenix. Stupid Arizona laws are not allowing me to say where, but look out online will be, oh yeah, it's some goofy crap. So look out online for those posts and everything like that. Be on the lookout. Have a good day, good night, wonderful day, wherever you guys are at. Peace.